Alright, hey everybody, Jeff here. So, right after my last video, I received a package in, two actually, that came in that had been ordered. If you watched the last video, I talked about how our car was broken into and all this extra bills that came around and how I'm tightening up on buying stuff. And so pretty much have been, but these couple packages came in right after all of that happened that were ordered before it. And so I was making this video about some of this new stuff. Anyway, let's get right to it. First up, this came in the very next day, and I knew this was coming, but wanted to make that last video without waiting. But this would be another, as I've done in my previous couple of videos, the Amazon buy of the week. This popped up, and I think it was under $12, 11 something dollars, and that is the reissue of the Tyrant King of Kings album. The one that I got, it came in, I think this came on two different colors, clear, and I got the what they call bone white. So yeah, that gives me two of this new series. I think the other one, the other one I showed a while back, and it dropped really cheap too. And that's the sorry about that little camera difficulty. I noticed it froze up there, but I had been showing the other Too Late to Pray, the other Tyrant reissue that I had gotten a couple months ago. Again, it was another one of those Amazon deals where it dropped. And it was on red. I showed this in a couple videos back, or a while back. So anyway, now I have two of these reissues, and so I need to get the other. Okay, so then this other package that came in, and maybe I'm late to the game here, and maybe everybody else already knows about this, but I just discovered, thanks to Scott Waters, oldies.com. I guess I saw some people commenting on it on YouTube about issues they've had with them and stuff, but he mentioned something that was over there. I ran over there and looked, and I was like, oh my goodness, look at all this great stuff for really cheap. And I bought a bunch of stuff, and then right after I bought it, he says, oh, you want to be careful because a lot of their stuff has been sealed forever and it's warped, and he's gotten a lot of warped stuff, and other people were commenting about how they've gotten bad stuff, and I'm like, well, great, now the order's already on its way. Anyway, it came in, and so everything I'm showing here, this many records, I got for under $30. So what I was doing is I was looking in the clearance section and scooping up all the stuff that was like $1 to $2. I think the most I paid for one of them was like $5. So anyway, it was a good deal, and I thought, you know, if they're warped, they're warped. It would have been no different as if I'd have ran into these out there in the wild somewhere else unopened. I would have bought them. So in this case, I didn't pay that much money. So I went through all of them yesterday. I think, yeah, they came in yesterday. Went through all of them, stuck them on the turntable, both sides, played the first song. And I will say the greater majority of them have a little warbly effect to them. They are a little warped. They have a little ripple. I tested, and it's usually always just on the first song, and it's usually just on one side because it kind of wants to. I'm not sure what is going on with this camera tonight. I noticed it messed up again. Picking up where I was. So like I said, it has a little warble to them. Usually it's just on one side because it kind of bows up on one side. When it is the second side, yeah, it's usually just a little ripple. I play tested them all, mainly just the first song because that's really where the warp tends to be the most effective on hurting stuff. And out of, I don't know, 10, 12 albums I got here, one of them skips. One of them has enough of a bounce on it, on the sensitivity of my turntable, to where it actually causes it to skip. And it does that for about the first minute of the song, and then it settles down. So, you know, I can handle the little warp. I'm not worried about that as long as it doesn't skip the album. So the one and only one that skipped, and it's unfortunately one of the key ones that I was going after, and I could buy another one, it was only $1 something, was Titan, Mind Over Metal. Now I had this back, I think, on cassette back in the day, and I still have a digital copy now, and I dig the album, and I thought, oh, it'd be great to have it on vinyl, you know. It's on the Medusa label, which is, I think, I believe it's like a Metal Blade runoff, and it, like I say, it's a cutout. It's got a notch in it. I don't know if you can see it. The warp is probably not such that you can see it. It's not like they're really bowed. it almost looks like not so much. I don't know. It seems to me that they almost look like they've been in a warm surrounding to where they're starting to kind of warble more so than maybe the shrink wrap warping them. It just seems like the ones I've seen that are shrink wrap warped tend to be, I don't know, I guess they're all the same. I'm not going to guess at that. They just, like I say, a little warbly effect. So Titan is the only one that skips, and it only skips for like the first minute of the song, and then it settles down. So, and that might even be fixed. I did go ahead and order one of those clamps to put on your record. Not the weights, but the clamps that you push down and then tighten it up. It will, help a little, but I don't think it's going to affect the rim really at all. So this one is the other one that I was looking forward to get because I wanted the original vinyl of this on Music for the Nations, and that's the Shout in Your Face. This one, nicely, was not even in shrink wrap. It was in a plastic bag because I guess overseas they don't always, it seems like I remember in the past we used to always get albums, they weren't always shrink wrapped. So it has 0 warp factor. It's on the Music for the Nations, and it's wonderful. So this goes along with the first Shout album that I have on vinyl. And I went ahead and picked this up because this was the one I think I paid $5 for. So Shout is a Christian band. If you're not familiar with them, they're getting reissued and stuff, and this just is getting reissued on vinyl now. I grabbed a couple other 80s cool things that I've never owned before. I got Bound to Break by Anthem. Gave this a spin, and like I say, it warbles a little. It seems like all the ones I hear people talking about, they got this weird green line across the top. It almost looks like it's been faded, but maybe it was intentional because I've seen more than one person mention that. I got that, and I got Tightrope, also by Anthem. And honestly, I've seen people show these. I think I saw Scott Waters show these a while back, like a long time ago. But I don't think I've ever. These are Metal Blade, right? No, Restless Records. Never owned them, never listened to them, didn't really know much about them. They have a couple, I think they have a couple more out. Another Japanese band, very much, I guess along the lines of like Loudness. From what I listened to these so far the most. I think I listened to 2 or 3 songs on both albums just to get a feel for them. And I was like, wow, I dig it. More 80s bands along, with that slight little accent like Loudness. So those are 2 that I was really looking forward to checking out because, again, not familiar with them at all. I just hear people talk about them as being, a decent metal band. This is the other second main one that I really wanted, just another Lizzie Borden for my collection. So Terrorizing, threw this on immediately. Just loving the songs that were on here, American metal, stuff like that. Big Lizzie Borden fan, so I want to scoop up as much vinyl as I can, and I got some of the reissues, the first 2 from that, first 2 full albums. So this is a original press of the other one, and the warp did not get affected with this one at all. 50 cents got me the Striper single. Did I need the Striper single? I've got all the Striper albums, but 50 cents I bought the Striper single. Together's One. I had this back in the day when it came out. I had everything Striper back in the day, but the singles didn't, there's nothing new on here. So it's not like, some of the singles have live tracks or interviews or something, but, this was just nostalgia. It is a cutout, as most of them are. 50 cents. I'm buying the Striper album for 50 cents. April Wine, Power Play. This is the, really the only other April Wine album that in the early days, there's like those handful of albums, Nature of the Beast and others, that are in that time frame that I really wanted, and this is kind of like the last one I needed. I dig April Wine. Back in the day when they were around, I wasn't a big fan of them because they just weren't heavy enough. They were just a rock band, but now as I go back and check out some, we had Nature of the Beast and stuff and all the hit songs, but they weren't big on my radar back in the 80s. They just weren't heavy enough. Now I listen to them and I really appreciate them, and so I have the Harder, Faster, Nature of the Beast, this one. So I have some of those in the early 80s, mid 80s there. I'd like to get some of the 70s stuff, but if I run across them, I run across them. They're not high on the list. But this one I wanted to get because it kind of fits into that last little one in that time frame. I believe it's the last one I needed for that time frame. This is one I discovered this band online on a site that just kind of does tape trading, and well, not tape trading anymore, it's MP3 trading. A couple years ago, and I wanted it mainly for who appears on it. I know there's a second edition. This is a second edition where they redid it, but that's Cities, Annihilation Absolute. I just dig this 80s metal, especially the raw stuff. This was, what, Metal Blade, I believe? Band that really didn't do it. But anyway, AJ Pero, formerly, I guess at the time, he's on loan from Twisted Sister, or I guess at the time Twisted Sister was in that phase. This is in that years when they were maybe separated, and he was doing this on the side. But there is a version of this album. It doesn't have him on it. It's got a drum set back here. It's a different, slightly different cover. This is all the same, but there's like a drum set here with another drummer, and it's got like this one's like 10 songs, and the other one has like 6 or 7. It's more of an EP. This one has 9 songs, so it's like the EP with a couple extra songs redone. And I just dig this stuff. This little known, raw type 80s bands and so when I saw this for such a small price, I'm like, yeah, because I've had this on my want list on Discogs, and I've been watching people selling them for $10-12, and I'm like, I grabbed this one for, I want to say $2, 2 or 3. I don't have to go back and look. Another band that I wasn't very much into as a younger person, again, because they weren't heavy enough. They just weren't in that genre of hair metal stuff we used to buy back in the days, and that's Triumph. So I enjoy them now. I've listened to quite a few of the other things before, and I thought, well, here's Progressions of Power, and it was $1 something. So again, I grabbed it. Just good. This is like April Wine to me. It's like just good old-fashioned hard rock and roll. So anyway, cheap price. I made the grab. Same with this one, Billy Squier. Enough is enough. I have the couple albums preceding this one. It just kind of fits in there in that time frame where, and there's some decent songs in here that I'm aware of. Love is a Hero, Shot of Love, things like that. So I was familiar with the album enough to where I wanted to have it in my collection. And again, the price was just a couple dollars. So there were a handful of other albums on that site that I want to go back and get. 1 or 2 more that were in the $5 range, and a couple that were in the $2 range. I just, at this point, kept the order to that. Anyway, so yeah, that came in the past week. I do not think, aside from having lots and lots and lots of pre-orders out there, most of which will come in December, I don't think I have any other major things coming in. I know there's some CDs that are going to probably show up tomorrow, but so I may look into, instead of just doing a bunch of videos on what's new, I'm going to start looking, like I mentioned in the last video, I'll probably show my 7 inches. I have them all sitting right down here to do it. But I might do that because there's a lot of stuff that I haven't shown, because when I started doing videos a little over a year ago, I had stuff that I'd purchased before, and most of my videos were just what I've gotten since then, or focus on certain bands. So anyway, come up with some ideas, some fill in the gaps here. So thanks for watching. Keep on rocking, and I will see you later.